And welcome to our Georgia Southern post-game wrap-up show. I'm Josh Aubrey. Joining me, Mike Anthony, sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald. And Mike, an old ball man once said, 23 is better than 21, and you come out with the victory. But I'm kind of reminded of an 80s sitcom in this game, and that's Too Close for Comfort. You have to block a kick in the last couple minutes of the game to win. A win is a win, but there are some concerns for Georgia Southern.
It definitely nowhere close to where you would have assumed this game would be on paper. Georgia Southern coming in as the heavy favorites, already having a road conference win under its belt, going up against what many would have thought was a weaker team than South Alabama, the team they beat on the road last week. But UL Monroe, as it has for the third consecutive year, we talked about it earlier in the week, for whatever reason, they just seem to be able to get into Georgia Southern's side, be the thorn in their side, taking them down to the last play here at Paulson Stadium 2 years ago. Last year mounting the comeback, this year taking them down to basically the final play again. As you mentioned, a blocked field goal on a night where Georgia Southern's offense really not rolling, its defense giving up a little bit early, playing great for the majority of the night, and then giving up another one late, having to make a late stand in the final minute.
There was a stretch there where Georgia Southern ended up in the red zone 4 times, ended up with 3 field goals and then a fumble. That is not Georgia Southern football.
It's really not. A lot of power football, but it's just not as powerful as we're used to seeing it, not moving the pile quite like we're used to seeing this Georgia Southern team that's led the nation in rushing the last 2 years. Able to get the job done, but that's about all you can say. A lot of yardage on the ground, but maybe not the key yardage where we've seen it in the last couple of weeks.
And once again, a lot of penalties. There were a lot of 15-yard personal foul penalties in this game, but for Georgia Southern, some false starts. You have to burn a timeout, which I know Coach Summers didn't want to do there in the second half when you had 12 men on the field for a punt. I guess you don't have to burn it, but they did, leaving them with only 2 in a 2-point game. A lot of penalties, and once again, Coach Summers can't be happy about that.
Well, to me, that's the most concerning part. We know the kind of guys that make up the offense, the defense of this team. They're probably a little bit better than what we saw out on the field on Saturday. It's one thing to just play a little bit better, make a few more plays. It's another to have the mental mistakes, i.e. penalties, that continue to plague this team. 116 yards in penalties for the Eagles last night. I guess that's a silver lining when you can literally give a team an entire football field and then some and still walk away with that W.
All right, well, they did come out with the W. Let's get out and see some highlights from their 23-21 win. Freedom flying high as Georgia Southern ready for UL Monroe. But this, not the Eagle everyone wanted to talk about. It was all about Gus. The old Gus making his triumphant return to Paulson Stadium on the back of a motorcycle before the largest crowd in school history. The defense came in not having allowed a touchdown all season. That streak stopped quickly as Garrett Smith hooks up with Xavier Brown on a 32-yard score, and it's 7-0 Monroe. A little later, it's Smith to Marcus Green, who goes 65 yards deep into Eagle territory. That would lead to Smith keeping it himself, and he goes 7 yards. And quickly, Tyson Summers not liking what he sees on the scoreboard as the Eagles trail 14-0. The offense finally mounting a charge. Matt Breida spins his way ahead for a first down. That would lead a few plays later to Kevin Ellison from the 6. And the Eagles cut the lead to 14-7 after 1 quarter of play. Not much action in the second quarter. Fabian Upshaw to B.J. Johnson for the 29-yard completion. That drive stalls as Youngwei Koo comes in for a 37-yard field goal, cutting the lead to 14-10. The defense rebounds after a slow start. Yukime Aligwe with the one-handed interception, but the offense unable to capitalize from there, and we go to the half with Georgia Southern trailing 14-10. Second half, the offense trying to get on track here. The nice end around to Monte Crockett, who turns upfield 16 yards for an Eagle first down. That drive stalls, and in comes Youngwei Koo again. This time, the 37-yard field goal makes it 14-13. Monroe still on top, though. Next drive, Wesley Fields with the first down. He'd have 84 yards rushing, no back over 100 yards in the game, though the Eagles rushed for 345. Koo later with another field goal. 16-14 GSU. Back on offense, another long drive. Upshaw to Kevin Ackerman. The Eagles only 5 of 17 through the air. Upshaw would finish with only 62 yards, but here he breaks a nice 30-yard run to the 40. Later from the 2, Upshaw trouble on the snap. The loose ball recovered by the Warhawks. Darian Ford with it, and we head to the 4th with the Eagles clinging to a 2-point lead in the 4th. Georgia Southern driving, a nice run by L.A. Ramsby, who'd lead the way with 86 yards on the ground. He's down inside the 5. Then it's Wesley Fields with the 2-yard touchdown. The lead is extended to 23-14, but again Monroe responds. First, the long pass from Smith to R.J. Turner, who avoids a couple tackles and goes 54 yards. From there, it'll be Smith to Marcus Green for the 10-yard touchdown. And once again, it's a 2-point game at 23-21. The Warhawks would continue to march downfield on their next possession. Smith with 283 through the air. They'd get down inside the 20, but then a big play here. De La Rosa with the sack. That would have a 42-yard field goal with just over a minute to play for the lead, but R.J. Murray with the play of the game, the block, the loose ball eventually picked up by Monroe. But the Eagles take over. They'd go 3 and out, allowing Monroe one desperation play coming up. But the lateral after the completion will be fumbled and picked up by Bernard Dawson, and the Eagles avoid the upset, hanging on to win 23-21.
We're Kyle and Jared Lott of Smack TV.
Each week we go into millions of homes to show you great hunting.
And we couldn't do what we do without TC Outdoors doing what they do.
It doesn't matter if your adventure takes you fishing in the local pond or on a cross-country hunt.
TC Outdoors is going to be there for you with gear, know-how, and support, just like they are for us.
They've been here for years. We know them.
And we trust them.
So come by TC Outdoors on Northside Drive. Tell them Jared and Kyle sent you.
And after the game, we had a chance to talk with head coach Tyson Summers and some of the players about their victory over Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, I'm glad we won. Definitely, I'm glad we achieved that goal. But other than that, I don't like how we won. It came down to a block kick, came down to prevent defense, and I don't ever want to be in that situation as a defense. But other than that, we did get a W, which is the great part. Each week we just got to get better, because when we play really, really, really good team, but we play the team that fought their butt off. No disrespect to them. But when we play those teams like App State or those big games, we can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot with the penalties, with the big plays on defense, and we just got to play sound football.
You got to give credit to Louisiana Monroe. They have a pretty good team. And, they seem to play us tough every time we play them. So, it's credit to them. And on our stand, we just have to buckle down, eliminate all those bad miscues and things like that, and those penalties. That's what's killing us.
It's the beginning of the season. It happens sometimes. We offense hasn't really got on track like we wanted it to so far, but we're 3-0, and we're gonna take our mistakes from this game and try to fix them this week. Very exciting to see that we're still winning, and we're really not clicking at all on the offense side of the ball. We're just making plays when we need to make plays. But once we clean it up, I'm looking forward to see how the offense is going to move.
We had way too many penalties, on both sides of the ball. We got to fix those type of things. Those are the type of things that we beat ourselves with. We plan on fixing those things this next week in practice. Just continue on our track of winning. Youngway Koo did a great job of coming in, knocking through 3 good big-time field goals. He kept us in the game. Offense, we weren't clicking like we need to be clicking, but, we're going to get back on track and be a lot more consistent with what we're doing.
It's a good job of our football team finding a way to win a game. Obviously, tighter than we would sit there and like for it to be. I think that everybody, in the stadium tonight, being able to sit there and look around and see that Louisiana Monroe's got a good football team. I think Matt and his staff did a fantastic job getting them ready to play. The history of the last couple of years of us in Louisiana Monroe have been pretty exciting from what I understand, and then tonight was another example of it. I think that our offense gave us a chance the way they finished the first half and started the second half, first couple of series, eating up a lot of clock, making sure we got points on the board, and giving us the lead. Our defense gave up 2 scores early. early. Thought that outside of, again, giving up an explosive play there in the fourth quarter on a wheel route that we've got to cover better, in the secondary and play better outside of that play, and not finding a way to stick it in, or not finding a way to hold them out on a 3rd and 10 right there. Outside of that, I thought they played pretty good. All right, those are positives. Being 3-0 is positive. Being 2-0 in conference play, positive. Did we play hard? Yes. What we did not do was play with a lot of discipline. We continue to shoot ourselves in the foot. We continue to leave yards on the field. We continue to hand the ball back over to them, and it just continues to show up. And at the end of the day, it's my job as a head coach to get it cleaned up. So now, we've been able to win despite that, and what we've got to be able to do, and again, it's my job to do it, is get it fixed. I'm frustrated with it, as you can imagine, just like you and every other person that's a Georgia Southern Eagle tonight is, and we will get it fixed.
Coach,
yes,
offensively, there was a stretch there where you were inside the red zone 4 times, 3 field goals, and a turnover.
Yes, sir.
Are you concerned about where your offense is right now?
Well, I don't know where we're finishing, where we are in the country. I know where we're at right now, which is that, we're 3-0. That's what I can sit there and tell you. Now, has it been sexy? No, it hasn't been. And I do think that Koo did a nice job tonight. I think that we've got what we need to be able to sit there and get. Do I want to be able to find a way to punch those in? Yes, sir. I certainly do. Because, again, when you sit there and add it up, there's at least 12 points right there that we sat there and left. And if you sit there and go, we've got a dominating drive, and we get it all the way down to, I can't remember if it was a 2 or if it was a 3-yard line, and we fumbled the snap and handed it over to them. It's a dominating drive. There's a lot of clock eating up, where there's explosive plays in it, and then we shoot ourselves in the foot. Is that concerning? Yes. I don't think that's as much of an indictment on the offense as just another example of our undisciplinedness that I've got to get cleaned up. I haven't been to Georgia Southern in 10 years. I don't know what the definition of struggling is. 3-0 and going into the night, again, we were second in the country in rushing, and we were second in the country in pass efficiency. Now, we didn't throw it as successful tonight as we would like to. I certainly think that people are, trying to make sure that they're tightening in the run game, and they're forcing us to be able to throw it. We've got to be able to do what we did the first 2 games, which is throw it with some efficiency. And certainly there were some big 3rd downs that we were able to get completions tonight. And again, goes back to our quarterbacks and our receivers doing a nice job, and our offense continuing to be able to do that.
Well, Mike, we've talked about the competition getting very tough over the next 4 weeks with 4 straight road games for Georgia Southern. It starts on the road at Kalamazoo, where Western Michigan just pretty much annihilated Illinois Saturday. Now the Eagles go up. It's a much different team than the one that came down here to Statesboro and Georgia Southern beat pretty handedly last year.
Western Michigan, not only with momentum in its corner, they're 3-0, wins over a couple of Big Ten teams in Northwestern and Illinois, but also with that vengeance factor. Last year, they came in here thinking they might have an easy time. They had just played a nationally ranked Michigan State team close. Georgia Southern had just come off licking its wounds against West Virginia. Western Michigan thought they were primed for a big win, and said they left with one of their biggest losses of the season. To their credit, they turned it around last year. They were a much better team at the end of the season. They seem to have picked that up early this season. They're a team in that G5 set of conferences who's really gaming for some position, maybe getting into the top 25. Georgia Southern, they're going to have to play a much better, much cleaner game than we saw Saturday night, a lot more like we saw last year against Western Michigan.
All right, so that's the Eagles' opponent next week on the road at Western Michigan. For Mike Anthony, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again very soon.